Yo, what's good, YouTube? Welcome back to another episode of the Shooter Straight Podcast. It's your co-host, Zach.
I'm your co-host G.
Welcome back to episode 34. First and foremost, wanted to thank y'all for all the previous support we've been getting on all the other episodes, the clips, the YouTube shorts, the TikTok, everything like that. We've been running that. We've been going crazy. We appreciate all the continued support. We continue to pump out the content for y'all, especially with the World Cup, getting into the nitty gritty with the quarterfinals coming up here. We appreciate the support. We're going to continue to pump out the content. Follow us on all the social media platforms. And, G,
Absolutely, man. We appreciate all the love and support. We appreciate you guys helping us get a new video as the most viewed video, which was last episode, our Argentina versus Netherlands preview. We like the engagement in the comments. We like seeing all you guys saying who you got. Dutch fans weren't very happy with us, but we're on this side. We're on this side of the pond, bro. We riding with Argentina, man. I don't care what anybody got to say. I'm right or dying with Argentina, but I appreciate it. We all love hearing from you guys, good or bad. We love to see it.
Yeah, the Dutch fans in the comments were saying it's going to be a revival of 1998. When the Dutch were able to
keep that same energy, keep that same. Right, you're going to be hearing from it. We're going to be hearing.
But we appreciate the support on that video. Anytime we can get a milestone like that broken, it's obviously a big deal. So we appreciate the support on that. Y'all got us all the way up to 376 subscribers and counting, probably maybe even more by the time this video gets posted. So we appreciate the support. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. If you're, just checking out this pod from that video or something like that. We're continuing to talk about the World Cup. We got a lot more content about the World Cup and, the NFL and other sports coming very soon.
Absolutely, man. Down in the descriptions are our socials. If you want to get a hold of us, DM us, do whatever. They're all down there. And like you said, when you're down there, hit the subscribe button. A lot of percentage of you guys that watch us aren't subscribed. Come on, help us out.
Yeah, help us. But
help us out. We're trying to make out the
hood. But without further ado, you ready to get into our meat and potatoes of this pod with the World Cup round of 16 concluding?
Let's get right into it.
So the final match of the World Cup round of 16 took place today, and it was Portugal playing Switzerland. Obviously, we released a preview of the match. We dropped our expectations, what we thought, and now the match has officially taken place. And I think, let's not beat around the bush here. Let's just go ahead and get straight into it. And I wanted to go ahead and ask you, G, what was your initial reaction to Portugal playing Switzerland and being able to get the win 6-1?
This game, the shock factor to this game started before the whistle even blew. When Portugal released their starting 11, that they dropped Cristiano Ronaldo and dropped Cancelo. I was floored. I couldn't believe it. I had to double check. I almost thought that it was a glitch in my phone, that these players weren't starting. I was like, this isn't good. I already had a bad feeling about this game. And my God, they made me eat my words. Portugal looked absolutely dominant. They dominated Switzerland. And Switzerland are no scrubs. They're a very solid team. And for Portugal to dismantle them and basically take them apart, it was spectacular. I mean, attacking football at its finest in the World Cup, probably the best we've seen. Just how flawless it was. I mean, they conceded one goal, but the damage was already done by the time they scored. I mean, they didn't look like they were missing much of Cristiano, and they didn't look like they were missing much of Cancelo. The Cancelo replacement, he scored. Ronaldo, I don't even know the guy that – I don't even know what league that guy plays for that they put in at the 9 to replace Ronaldo. I don't even know. I never heard of this guy before.
Plays for Benfica.
And he plays for Benfica, and he goes in and he scores a hat trick. I mean, they didn't look like, it was justified that he did what he did, but it nevertheless, it was very shocking. It took me by surprise, but Portugal came out just absolutely firing. I mean, Leao came off the bench as well, scored. This team can score for fun. Its attack is its best weapon, and that's what we know. And I mean, Pepe looks like he's turning back he's 39 years old. He has no right to be playing as well as he has. I can't imagine being Cristiano Ronaldo watching this and be like, Pepe's 39 and he's out there and he's playing. Being a little older is easier to be on the defensive side than as attacker, but still, Pepe's been playing flawlessly. He's been playing so solid, and he's a threat. in the box. I mean, he's always been a threat his entire career, but at 39, it's 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 absolutely astounding. And I mean, this is a statement win for Portugal. And I mean, I thought this game would be close, and I had Portugal going through, and I even thought them playing Morocco in the next round. We both picked Morocco to go through, and I thought that game was going to be fairly close. But right now, I don't think that game is going to be very close. I mean, this Portugal team looked, untouchable.
Yeah, and we'll get into our Morocco versus Portugal full preview in a little bit here. But I would just like to pose this question to you. Obviously, you touched on it a little bit, but um, so is it safe to say that Portugal is a better team without Cristiano Ronaldo?
It's you can't say no. At this moment, you cannot say no, just because that was the best we've seen Portugal play this entire tournament, and it happened to not include. It, a part of me, I think, died seeing that Cristiano Ronaldo has finally looks like this is the end of the road. A part of football died today. That Cristiano Ronaldo has been basically booted out of his club, and now he's getting somewhat pushed out of his country. It's to me, it's a completely disheartening because being a Madrid fan, he's brought my club so much love, so much glory. It's tough to see, but it just happens. This is what this is in the game happens. This is what I somewhat saw at United because he played well for United, but United weren't playing good football. Ronaldo had good stats his first season, but United as a team played poorly. It's just because the style of Ronaldo doesn't really equate to good team play. He's kind of a football killer per se, just because he doesn't press. He doesn't do the things a nine in the modern day game has to do, and it's unfortunate because what this Portugal team needs is not that type of Ronaldo, and I don't know if he. I can almost bet. I'm probably like 90% sure he's not going to start against Morocco. If he starts against Morocco, it'd be the biggest like confusion ever. Just because the guy they played ahead of him scored a hat trick. So how would you not play him over Cristiano? But it's just getting to the point to where it's almost his time. I mean, this was we all knew this was his last tournament. This could be his last meaningful football he ever plays. Because there's talks of him going to Saudi Arabia and
He
playing there.
he has denied those claims in his post game press conference today. Although you never truly know what's going on.
Yeah, or who knows? We don't hear a lot of clubs coming out. Like, there's not a lot of rumors that a lot of top level clubs are out to get Ronaldo. So we don't know who really wants Ronaldo at this moment, and if he can't even play for his country right now, what team would really want Cristiano Ronaldo? I mean, he can't prove himself at all because he's not being given the chance, and he has been given the group stage to prove it. And I think what led to him being dropped was in the South Korea game where he gave up a goal, where he just clearly it was his fault, and when he was taken out, somewhat prematurely, if by his standards it was prematurely, he threw a fuss with the coach, and I think he's had a small falling out with the coach, and it's just a big. It's just what the another day in the life for Cristiano Ronaldo at this time. I mean, it's not looking good, but Portugal are looking great. He looked happy that Portugal was good. I was glad of that. At least he was enjoying himself on the sideline, seeing Portugal play this football because it was beautiful to watch. I mean, it was attacking as it gets. I mean, as good as we've seen, and it's good. It's good for Portugal, but for Ronaldo's sense, it's not the best thing that could happen.
I think my final point to ask you before I probably give my take on this is, we've touched on this before, way earlier in the season when he was just having his falling out with Eric Ten Hag at Manchester United. We posted a clip about this, so this might be the second time we post the same exact clip, and you kind of touched on it, but I just wanted to get a definitive answer. Is Cristiano Ronaldo officially washed?
Uh, I think I wouldn't say he's fully washed, but he's knocking at the door. If let's say this is washed right here. He's right here. He's at the door. I mean, he's right there. He just doesn't have that click anymore. I mean, when he's in front of goal, it's not the same, and what the ball is just not leaving the end of his foot like it used to. I mean, he looks as good as he ever looked physically, but there's just things things that change with your age, and it's just starting to go away from him. I mean, we're watching Lionel Messi. I mean, a pretty older Lionel Messi still
35
be
years
able
old.
to adjust his game to help Argentina. He's not playing the same way he played in the 2014 World Cup or the 2018 World Cup. He's adjusted his play, and a lot of the personnel around the Argentina team have adjusted to suit his strengths, but it also takes Messi as a player to adjust his play style. And I don't think Ronaldo has done that well enough to adapt to his game and his abilities now. So if I were to probably break it up in a split, I would say he's like 70% wash basically. This is like his final moments. I think this is his final meaningful games he's ever going to play.
If you had to give a prediction, where do you think he ends up? Does he go to MLS? Does he go to Saudi League? Where does he go?
I think this one. I don't even remember what did I say last time? I think I had him going to Chelsea, but at this point, I don't even see Chelsea
I don't know. Yeah,
wanting him. I mean, he can't even play for his country. I mean, I don't know. It's hard to say. If I were to guess, I think he still stays in Europe, but it's probably going to be for. I could see him possibly going back to Portugal, like you said, or maybe going to a Dortmund, something like that. It's really hard to say because there's not a lot of rumors coming out. I mean, there's not a lot of teams that are raising their hands, putting their hat in the pool. It's really difficult to say. If I were to guess, if I had a gun in my head right now, I would probably say he goes to. I'd say he goes to Dortmund.
Dortmund. That would be interesting. But yeah, it's interesting. But pretty much for this game, I think it was a complete and utter Portuguese masterclass to the highest degree. And Fernando Santos, he had question marks coming into the game because when I first saw the lineup, just as you did, I was shocked. Cristiano Ronaldo dropped for a round of 16 knockout stage game. And then on top of that, Joao Cancelo dropped. I thought I was reading my phone wrong. But, it turned out Fernando Santos, it was a masterclass. He knew what he was doing. I mean, look, the defense was looking as strong as it could possibly look. And I thought it was kind of going to take a drop off, without Joao Cancelo, because on his day, Joao Cancelo is one of, if not the best fullback in the world.
I
It's for
believe he
Manchester
is.
City.
Yeah,
Yeah, for Manchester City, he plays absolutely unbelievably. He's so versatile. He can do it all. He's able to contribute in the attack, and he's able to defend, relatively well. Now, he hasn't been living up to that billing for Portugal, in this World Cup and even before this, but you still expect him to be able to get, to those standards because his standards are extremely high. But they put in Rafael Guerrero for him, and then the new star boy, Goncalo Ramos, replaces Cristiano Ronaldo. And obviously, look, it was a very, very bold decision to do that because this kid, he had only had 3 international appearances, I believe, before this, and this was his 4th. So to put him into the fire in a big game, because let's not act like Switzerland are a bad team. They've beaten Portugal, just they did in the Nations League. Portugal beat them 4-0, and then Switzerland, they ended up beating them 1-0. So, on aggregate, it was 4-1. But Switzerland were able to win one of those games. You have to give them credit for that. So this is not a bad team. It's loaded with European talent, and they are a very, very, very good team. And Portugal absolutely dismantled them. It was an attacking masterclass from minute one. They looked like, arguably, this was the best team display we've seen in the whole World Cup so far. Just of how they played, how cohesive it was,
I
and
think
just
it's
how
up there with the
dominant
Brazil performance. Yeah,
it's up there with the Brazil performance, just of how dominant they looked from beginning to end. They didn't even give Switzerland a chance. It was beautiful football. It looked like I have criticized Fernando Santos in the past because of the football he plays with this Portugal team. Because you look at the team that they have, and you're like, this team should be scoring way more goals. This team should be playing better football. They do 2 things: they drop Cancelo and they drop Ronaldo, and all of a sudden they look like a transformed team. I didn't expect it, but it was an absolute masterclass. And in Carlo Ramos, you have to tip your cap. He, first of all, the first goal, what a finish! an absolute rocket at the near post, and he's able to beat Jan Sommer at his near post with that rocket. I mean, to announce yourself in that way, just a couple, what was it, 10 minutes into the match or something like that, 17 minutes into the match, absolutely unbelievable. And then on top of that, he's able to get the other 2 goals and get the first hat trick in the entire World Cup. He's officially announced himself on the world stage. Benfica, they've produced another good talent. They have Enzo Fernandez, who's balling for Argentina right now. And now they have Goncalo Ramos, who's balling for Portugal, and he's going to continue to play. And I think that's my next point. Cristiano Ronaldo's time, at least in this World Cup and going forward for the Portuguese national team, is officially over. He's going to come on as a sub probably like he did here. He's going to contribute, but he's not going to be a starter anymore. I don't see how you can bench Goncalo Ramos given what he just did going forward. I don't see how you can do it. For the Morocco game, Ronaldo is going to be on the bench because there is no room for him. Goncalo Ramos just scored an unbelievable hat trick to send his country to the next round. And Joao Felix looks like a transformed man right now. You didn't even touch on him, but Joao Felix, he put on an absolute masterclass today. He got a little bit outshone.
He's been playing well this entire tournament.
Yeah, Felix got a little bit outshined by Ramos being able to get that hat trick, but it was an absolute great performance from Joao Felix being able to set up Ramos for one of his goals. And he looks like an absolute transformed player compared to how he looks at Atletico Madrid. And he's even hinted at the fact that he's had a falling out with the club and he's ready to move on from Atletico Madrid because, he plays better for Portugal. And he said in the interview, it's easier to play for this Portuguese team when I'm not being held back by the manager. So he's basically firing shots at Diego Simeone. He will leave the club. And I think that's a good move for him because he has shown in this game why he still is a good talent and why when he originally went to Atletico Madrid, he was, $100 million man. He proved why he was so highly regarded when he was first coming up and then he went to Atletico and he kind of had a career stall going to Atletico. It was a bad choice, let's just be honest. If you're a youngster, I don't know why you went there.
Atletico. Yeah, you don't go to Atletico.
Diego
before
Simeone,
this tournament, before this tournament even started, I totally even forgot about Joao Cancelo's name on this Portuguese team. I just completely forgot about it just because Atletico, you get forgotten. I mean, where's Atletico right now? I mean, they're kind of irrelevancy.
Exactly. So it's like I didn't expect him to be this good, but it's because of the fact that, we haven't seen him play to his very best. And he is showing that he still has it in the locker and that he still is a very, very important player to this team. And he deserves to be starting over Cristiano Ronaldo as well, quite frankly. And then obviously this guy, he has put on an absolute show this entire World Cup. And because of the fact that Felix and Ramos played so well, he's going to get a little bit not as much praise maybe as he deserves. But Bruno Fernandes continues to absolutely run the show for Portugal. Another assist today. He just completely, he looks like, in a way, he's also a completely transformed man from the way we've seen him play for Manchester United this season. He hasn't quite been at his best for Manchester United. He comes into this World Cup with Portugal, and he looks absolutely unbelievable. He's putting on a show every single game. I mean, Manchester United,
Man United players are playing well. I mean, other than Cristiano Ronaldo,
they're playing so good.
Yeah, they're playing absolutely well.
And, you have to, I think maybe going forward, we'll see what they do when they all come back from Manchester United. But if they all go back to playing bad, I think it's time to look at Manchester United as a club. Like, what are they doing?
Like, the
what
coaching staff is doing something wrong. Like Casemiro has been playing spectacularly for Brazil. And it's not to say Casemiro's been playing bad for Man United, but he's kind of just been, he hasn't played every single game. He comes on as a sub, he gets subbed off early, But that'll be probably future discussions to discuss United. I mean, it's United.
But I don't think it's crazy to say as of right now at this very moment that if we dropped like a team of the tournament, if the tournament ended right now, Manchester United would have 2 of the best midfielders in this tournament. Casemiro would be in there, and then Bruno Fernandes would be in there. So it's looking very good for Manchester United. They got something.
It'd be close. It'd be close.
So that's, look, their midfield is looking absolutely great. William Carvalho is playing good. Otavio is playing good. Bernardo Silva, he's one of the most underrated players in the world, in my opinion.
He just does all the little things. I mean,
he never gets his flowers, but I like to give him his flowers when I get the chance because I love Silva.
What he does on the pitch cannot be you can't tell in the stat sheet. What he does is, he's the pass to the pass that leads to a goal. Like he's just that guy. I've always loved his game. I wish he kind of I wish he kind of got out of the shadow that is Manchester City. I mean, being behind Kevin De Bruyne, it's hard to get your shine. But I mean, he's just going. He's just gonna. I mean, real ballers know how good Bernardo Silva is.
Yeah, no, yeah, 100%. He's really, really good. And then this defense, this Portuguese defense, looks like a brick wall right now. Diogo Dalot, another Manchester United player.
Playing
What
very
a
well.
performance. He's been playing very well this entire World Cup. He was able to get an assist today. And then I said it. I said Pepe deserves to be starting when he wasn't starting. It looks like I've been proven right because Pepe he's turned back the clock. He looks like Real Madrid Pepe. He somehow at 39 years old and his bald head looking more bald than ever, he has somehow managed to
He looks
turn
almost
back
like
the
a
clock.
skeleton out there at times. Like, dude, he's so like skinny. I was like, dude, this guy's so brittle. He's just gonna break.
And then he continues to put on masterclasses like he did today. I mean, he was able to score a goal, and he looks like just as good of a menace in the air as he was when he was in his prime. I mean, he's still able to attack the balls with so much ferocity. And you don't want to be dribbling at Pepe. You don't want to even be near Pepe because you never know what he's going to do. He's a real intimidation at the back. And then Ruben Diaz, he's a brick wall. You know, we know how good of a player he is. And he hasn't even been playing, I think, at his best, but he hasn't truly been tested because this
Yeah,
Portuguese defense has been playing so good. So, you know, he's he's Ruben Diaz. We know how good he is. He's one of the, if not the best center back in the world on good form for Manchester City. And then, obviously the big controversy was Joao Cancelo getting dropped for Rafael Guerrero. And Fernando Santos was once again proven right because Guerrero was able to get an assist and a goal. And Guerrero, he's kind of an underrated baller, in a way because he doesn't always get his flowers, but he's a very attacking minded fullback. And he has a very good final.
I think he plays wings on the wing at points for Dortmund.
Yeah, like he's very, very versatile and he's very good going forward. And we saw that again today. He was able to get an assist and a goal. And if you're gonna bench Joao Cancelo, he's a very good replacement. I won't lie. Like he might not be the best defensively, but he's able to get the job done, and he's solid. I think going forward, there's no debate about Cristiano Ronaldo and where he stands in this team. He's not getting back in the starting 11. If he does get back in, I will be baffled, shocked, dumbfounded. I won't know what to say because who are you putting him in for? There's no place in the attack. There's still only two strikers, and you can't bench, Mr. Hat Trick Man himself, Goncalo Ramos, and then Joao Felix. He's been playing every single game. You're not benching him. So the only true debate going forward here is will Joao Cancelo make his way back into this team? Will he play against Morocco?
You
And
mean Cristiano Ronaldo, not Joao Cancelo? Oh wait, no,
I
no,
did
no.
mean Joao Cancelo, yeah.
I thought you meant, I thought you said Joao Felix. There's only Joaos.
Yeah, no, yeah, well, yeah. But
There's Joaos in the team.
so going forward, it's will Joao Cancelo get his place back in the team over Rafael Guerrero? And to be honest, I find it hard to believe that he will. I still rate Joao Cancelo very highly, and it doesn't take away anything from him. But Santos has made his move, and his move has been proven right because of the result and given how good Rafael Guerrero played individually. And even though I rate Joao Cancelo very highly, I don't see him getting back into the team as a starter unless an injury happens or something like that. Just because why would he go back? Like you made the move. Guerrero had a great game. It wouldn't make any sense to take him out after he had a great game. If Guerrero played bad and they both were playing bad, then I think you go back to Cancelo. But that obviously didn't happen. He had an amazing game, was able to get his goal. I think Joao Cancelo is going to be staying on the bench. Which, if you had told me that Portugal were going to be this good and Joao Cancelo and Ronaldo were going to be on the bench, I would have said, oh, you're lying. But here we are. This is the time and era that we're living in. It's absolutely unbelievable, you could say.
Yeah, it was completely shocking. I mean, I couldn't believe it, man. But I mean, we can't blame Santos. I mean, he won and he won. I mean, by
And they, and
thrashing
they
fashion. I mean,
and they played beautiful football while they were able to do it. So
yeah.
I had
I
doubted
mean,
him. You remember me doubting him coming into the World Cup, but
yeah. I mean,
he's proven me wrong.
but we did speak on Morocco a little bit there. I mean, going into the other big knockout game that happened, a little bit of an upset, but an upset that we here predicted. We saw this coming. They can't pull no fastball on us. We both knew. I always know Spain was never very legit. I mean, they had that crazy opening game against Costa Rica, but I knew that was not sustainable. And Spain are what they are. I mean, this is not the 2010 Spain that we remember, and with Xavi and Iniesta and David Villa, Fernando Torres. It's not that team no more.
Yeah.
This team has always had a problem with its attack, and we saw that rear its ugly head in the Morocco game. So I wanted to get your first initial thoughts on Morocco versus Spain in the round of 16.
Well, I would just go ahead and say that, I did predict this. I did think that if any upset was going to happen in this round of 16, it was going to be this because I thought Spain were vulnerable and I thought Morocco were a very good team. And I think after the group stage, they proved that. My issues with Spain, obviously, they're going to obviously hold a lot of possession. That's the Spanish way. But, I mean, you're playing Marco Asensio as striker. And you got Dani Olmo on the wing. You got Ferran Torres. These guys, Marco Asensio barely plays for Real Madrid. Ferran Torres,
Yeah.
he's a rotational player at Barcelona, and Dani Olmo, he's a good youngster, but he hasn't fully proven himself, and he's not made a move to a big club. He's still at RB Leipzig. That's who you're relying on to bang the goals in. Morata wasn't even starting today. I think he did.
I don't understand that. I don't know why Morata isn't starting. I think
Morata is the only true number 9
yeah, he's only the true
that
striker,
Spain
and
have. And he's done well in the World Cup. He scored 3 goals. So it was a little weird, for that. But, Spain have always kind of had a striker issue. I remember even when they had their, that good Spain back in the day, when they didn't have David Villa, they always were playing like a false 9. They were playing like David Silva at the center forward
I
role. Like,
remember I think Iniesta was being
yes,
forced at striker, at center
like
forward at times.
that's the one thing Spain have not been good at producing is good strikers. Obviously they've had Fernando Torres, they've had David Villa, but recently speaking, they haven't produced that world class number 9, and that's what held this team back once again. They have great tactics and they have great midfielders like always, what you're going to expect from Spain, but their defense is solid. Report Rodri, Lorente, and Jordi Alba. That's solid. It's a good team, but they just don't score enough goals. They just hold the ball, pass it around, they cross the ball in, but you're crossing the ball into Marco Asensio. It's not getting the job done. So I'm not surprised that they didn't score. And they did have some chances to score in this game. And the one that everyone is replaying over and over is like the last kick of the game. I think it was like in like
Yeah,
the
that's like the 119th
yeah,
minute where
it was
it
like, yeah,
bounces off the other side of the post.
exactly. And that was one of their clearest chances in the game, and it they didn't score that. Once it went to penalties, I like it was to me. I was like, okay, Morocco are going to win this because look, 2018, they went out on pens to Russia, so that I think that was in the back of their head. And what's funny, everyone is talking about this. Luis Enrique said in an interview that he told the Spanish players to take 1,000 penalties in training before they went to Qatar, so that they would be prepared for a penalty shootout if it went to that in the World Cup. It goes to a penalty shootout, and they miss all 3 pens.
Yeah, no score one.
It was an absolutely disgraceful penalty shootout from Spain. I mean, look, they looked uninspired. Those penalties, they looked unconfident, and some of the players that were missing the pen. I mean, look, Sergio Busquets, I expect, with given his pedigree and everything, I would have expected him to be able to take a better pen, but he looked unconfident. The entire team, it just didn't look confident taking the penalties. And, you know, I want to give my props to Morocco because they become the 3rd ever, or 4th, I think it's the 4th actually, the 4th ever African team to make the quarterfinals of the World Cup, which is a huge accomplishment. And Bunu or Bono, I've seen it pronounced both ways or spelled both ways. What a game he had, being able to save every penalty and keep a clean sheet against the Spanish team. You have to
He plays for Sevilla. Yeah, I mean he's very solid goalkeeper.
very solid goalkeeper. He might, be getting a move to another club based on his performance because he looks absolutely unbeatable at the moment. What a goalkeeping masterclass he's been putting on. And, like I said in the preview to this game, this defense looks very good. Hakimi, once again, he's one of, if not the best right back in the world on his day. And he showed it again today. He was able to score the winning penalty. He had ice in his veins, scoring a Panenka in that moment, when your country needs you the most, in that high pressure moment to send them to the quarterfinals, some place that they've never been before. You have to, what a performance he had. And then, the rest of this team, Ziyech didn't had a great game, by his standards, basically how he's been playing, but
And we thought he would, yeah.
And they were still able to get the win without that. If you had told me Ziyech was going to play the game that he played, it's not that he played a bad game, he just didn't play a great game. And if you had told me that that was going to happen and Morocco were still going to win this game, I would have told you you're lying. But that's what happened. And, I think it proves how good of a team that this Morocco team is. It's not one player, it's nothing like that. They have good chemistry, they play good football. Their manager, Walid, I don't even know how to say his last name, Regraoui, he has them playing
Just
good.
butchered it, but
I did butcher it. Any Morocco fans that are watching this, they're clowning on me in the comments. But look, I tipped my cap to Morocco. I did predict this because I thought Spain were vulnerable, and they didn't necessarily get exposed, but they did get exposed as frauds and penalty shootouts. But I know one thing: the country of Spain is going to be all taking penalties from here on in, because I don't think they ever want to. They don't want to ever play another penalty shootout, but if they do get to that, they're going to hope to be doing better. But I think with all that being said, I mean that's pretty much all I got. And my takeaways from this game. It was just a it's 0-0, so it was a boring game, but it went the way that I predicted it, so I'm happy.
yeah. I mean, same here. This is something we both kind of saw coming. I think we all expected there to be one upset, and unfortunately, it came out to be Spain. I mean, when you look at this game, I unfortunately had to watch this game. I mean, I hate 0-0 the penalties. I mean, they're so incredibly boring. But Spain were the better team. I mean, when we're talking about, obviously it's a Spanish team. They're going to dominate possession, and they had a lot more clear chances to score, but they had the problem that we're harping on, that they cannot finish. They left their finishing boots in Spain. They forgot them, and they just could not get one. The ball did not want to go in the back of the net, and Spain fans, they're as gutted as it is, because they feel like they played better. They played better than Morocco. Morocco had their chance. I mean, I remember Ziyech having he had a very clear chance right before it went into extra time, but Spain were able to defend it. But you know, Morocco, we have to give them their props. Have been playing spectacular this tournament. They are, I think they've officially become, they are the Cinderella story of this tournament. Each tournament has one. 2018, it was Russia, and 2014, who was 2014? You think? I can't even remember. Oh, Colombia. I think it was Colombia. Was it Colombia?
Ghana was 2010. So then, maybe Colombia.
No.
Yeah, Colombia went to the quarterfinals, and then they
it was Colombia.
They eventually lost to Brazil.
So it was Colombia that I remember James Rodriguez coming out party.
Yeah.
It was Ghana. So there's always that one Cinderella story, and I think Morocco has taken that position as that team because they fully well deserve it. I mean, they've been playing spectacular football. Ziyech, Hakimi. I mean, these are your standout players. These are your European proven players, and it's good to see that it's not really like a one player driven team. I mean, they're playing as a unit, and that's what you need to be able to go past a team like Spain. Even though Spain can't finish, you still have to hold your own against this team because they have great players that can individually pull something out. I don't get why Alvaro Morata was not starting. I kind of don't get it. I mean, Marco Asensio has probably only played 3 games as a striker in his entire career, and it's been at this World Cup. I don't really get what the idea is, but they've had a striker problem forever, and Luis Enrique. I mean, it's just completely another shambles. I mean, Spain's in shambles. I mean, with his 3 tournaments in a row where they've underperformed. I mean, them along with Germany. I mean, a lot of these upper teams that have pedigree in this competition are just they're starting to fade away into just being a filler team. I mean, Spain and Germany are to the point where they're just filler teams. I mean, at this point, they're just filling a name on a sheet, and it hurts to see. I mean, seeing all these great Spanish players, but they're losing to these other up and coming teams like Morocco, who are set up better and have a belief that they could take on these giants of the competition. And I'm all for it. I like seeing new teams come up, and it's exciting. And I can't wait to see them play Portugal in the next round because, I thought it's. I'm kind of leaning. I mean, by the second, I'm almost feeling different about this game. Like after seeing it.
I don't want you to get into your predictions yet, because I want to
Yeah,
save them.
not yet. Yeah, I'm just giving it later that I rate this Morocco team highly, but in the next round, it's going to be hard to you know really give them very much on this Portuguese team.
I wanted to ask you a question about Spain, just to get your thoughts, because obviously they're going to be looking to try to figure out something here, with what's going on here. So do you think they should sack Luis Enrique, or do you think they should look elsewhere to try and fix this problem?
No, I don't think. I think it's just a personnel issue. I just don't think they have the players that they need to get to the point that where they want to go. I mean, they're lacking firepower. I mean, their midfield is good. Their defense is good. It's just those things are good enough to get you, to this to where you want to go. I mean, deeper in this competition. It's just the attack. The attack belong there. That Spanish attack belongs like on a Qatar. That those teams belong like a Venezuela. Those that's not a good attack at all. I mean, it's not good enough to get you nowhere. I mean, you're not getting out. You're not. How are you even qualifying with that attack? I mean, it's not good enough. So they're just gonna have to, similar to what a lot of teams have to do, like the United States. I would think hope that a good youngsters coming through the groups who's watching this. I mean, I remember seeing even like Gabriel Jesus in the 2014 World Cup. He was helping paint the streets of Brazil when they were preparing for the World Cup, and the following World Cup he was playing in it. 2018 he was playing in it. So let's just hope Spain are developing some type of wonder kid that can help them. I mean, because that's all. That's really what's gonna make a difference. I mean, you can get Pep Guardiola in there. It's Pep can't make Asensio a good number 9. I mean, there's not a lot of things. I mean, Sir Alex Ferguson could not make this guy a good number 9. And Morata, by the time the next World Cup comes around, I mean, he's going to be like what 33. Like he's old. I'm
Yeah,
not. I'm not relying on Morata, and
they're
I
not even
think,
relying on him now.
I think Ansu Fati should have been given a little bit more of a chance to play more. I was kind of surprised he didn't play more, but like I just think it's a personnel issue more than a coaching issue.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I think it is. It's slightly weird to me why Ansu Fati didn't get more playing time, because to be honest, he's probably on his day probably the most lethal attacker
Like,
that they got.
when Ansu Fati has it going, he can do things that are absolutely spectacular. But I mean, Ferran Torres. I mean, I think like
I,
he's a rotation player. I mean, what? I don't
See,
get it.
when both players are healthy for Barcelona, Ansu Fati is playing over
He's
Ferran
playing
Torres.
over Ferran Torres.
Well,
I mean,
I don't quite understand that. Is like
I
unless
don't get it.
unless Fati has a slight injury, he's not 100%, which I don't think is the case. I don't quite understand it. I think that Fati probably should have been contributing more. I mean, to be honest, Fati has played striker before for Barcelona. He could have just put him up top. I mean, he's dangerous. He's got pace. You can
I
play
think
more.
he's better. He's better than Marco Asensio, man. I mean, Marco Asensio hasn't been good since like 2016, like 2017.
I remember you were hyping him up, back in the day. So
I I remember. Yeah, I remember. What was it? I believe it was 2018,
it was
where
when it was right in the middle of when Madrid were on their three-peat in the UCL.
yeah, the three thing, and he scored in the final, and then that following the following off season, we played the El Clasico, the two El Clasico preseason ones, I think in the Super Cup, and he scores literally Ronaldo-esque goals, and then they give him a new contract.
I think injuries kind of derailed him.
Yeah, that and just I think he was. I mean, we overhyped him, but he was just never really that guy. I mean, he had a couple like worldy shots, and that was kind of much it. Other than that, his hold up play is not very good. His build up play is not good enough, and his finishing is too inconsistent to
And
be on Real Madrid.
I think part of why maybe he, obviously he was confident, he was feeling it at that time, but also that Real Madrid team was just so good. It was so dominant. I mean, you could have put anybody on there. And
Yeah, I mean, like, especially the 2017 run. Like, I go down. Like, I'm gonna tell my grandkids, like, 2017 Real Madrid was the greatest team I've ever seen with my entire eyes. I mean, that team was so attackingly gifted, and they had this, this young kid Marco Asensio just coming on there, just they're the ball. I mean, when you're playing next to guys like Cristiano Ronaldo in his prime, Benzema, still Gareth Bale, and Isco at his prime. Isco, another guy,
Isco,
very
bro.
underrated. No one talks about Isco.
When
Like,
Isco was balling, bro, like, look, bro, bro. Think about the midfielders this Real Madrid team had, bro. They had, I mean, our second most now our second most viewed video
our
on
second, yeah.
this channel, Cruz, Modric, Casemiro. But then they also had Isco, bro, and Isco
Yeah,
in his
I
prime
think
was good.
Isco, like I think the modern day Isco right now is Bernardo Silva. I think they play so similar. I mean, they're very similar type players, and they're both underrated. I mean, Isco was
Isco fell off
criminally
hard.
underrated. Yeah, but Isco fell off soon as I think Ronaldo left, and they got Lopetegui, and Lopetegui was like, oh, we want to make Isco the main guy, and I was like, what? But
Bro,
I was like, I don't make Isco the main guy.
Isco had his chance to leave because look, he wasn't playing that consistently for that Real Madrid team. Who was, but we knew how good he was, but he wasn't always in the team. He was in and out, and sometimes he was playing out of position. He should have went to like an Arsenal or something like that then, and I think he would still be good now. But he kind of made.
I
He
think
kinda
I
made
think when we got Hazard, we should have just done a swap, kind of like given
yeah,
Chelsea Isco for Hazard.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah, that would have worked as well.
push it, but yeah, that's a little bit off topic. We're talking Marco Asensio, but I mean, unfortunately, that's how Marco Asensio's career turned out. I mean, I think he's 27, 20, going on 28. He's already kind of
He's not going to get any better.
he's not going to get any better.
He's a good player, and I think he's going to contribute for a club. Whether he might end up leaving Real Madrid, I don't know. But he's a good player, but he's not getting any better.
Yeah, especially how Madrid is set up right now to where there's no spot for him. I mean, Fede Valverde has made the right wing spot his. Vinny is the left wing, and then Benzema is the striker. Maybe Real Madrid play Asensio as striker since right now we don't have a striker. Benzema's injured, so God knows.
They would probably play Rodrigo at striker over him. So.
I would play Rodrigo too, but I mean, it's unfortunate because I always liked Asensio as a player, but he's a part of this problem of the Spain team. I mean, they just can't finish, and that's just how it is.
Yeah, for me, Spain too much. It's just like that's how they play. But I think a guy like Fati would have been instrumental because I think they would have.
He would have been better.
It would have allowed them to be able to play more direct in a sense. They can play more in behind because Spain, bro, they try to like slice and dice through you, man. And if you
try to pass the ball in the net, and I feel like
if you park the bus, bro, like you can hold the Spain team. Like the problem is if you let them score, then they're tough to break down on the reverse end because they hold the possession so well. But if you do like Morocco and you're able to hold them to no goals, you're good. Because you can nick a goal on the counter because the way they hold the ball. And Spain, it's like possess the ball or nothing, bro. It's like they never switch it up. They never go direct. And part of that probably falls on Luis Enrique. I don't think he's gonna get sacked. I rate Luis Enrique. I think he's a good manager.
I think he's pretty good, yeah.
But
as far as international coaches, I think he's up there.
Yeah, no, for sure. I don't think he should get sacked, but I wouldn't be surprised if he was, just because the expectations with the Spanish national team, and they're gonna want to change something. And it's international play. It's not just like you can go sign a player. The only thing you can do is hope that somebody
nation swap. Like their starting center back today, he was French like 2 years ago.
Yeah,
Laporte was French.
Yeah. So you never know what's gonna happen, but it's not looking good for Spain. It's kind of crazy to think because we both remember how good they were. When they had that incredible run of winning a Euro, World Cup, and then another Euro.
Yeah, that dominance
crazy.
from
the greatest. But maybe
probably that's one of the most dominant stretch. Yeah, that's a very dominant stretch for a nation. They won it all.
Yeah, probably the greatest international stretch of all time. I would and then.
Probably like maybe compared to like maybe the back-to-back Brazil
that's
World Cup winning
the only thing you can compare it to is that.
But
we're in the 50s versus the 2010s.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say as well. I mean, the competition nowadays is a bit harder, and they had the Euros there. I mean, the Euros, basically, the World Cup very recently has just been all European teams, and I think I rate the Euros higher than the Copa America, just because I mean all the world champions have been coming out of Europe, so I mean it's only fair.
Right now, it's all European teams, and then Brazil, Argentina, and then
Brazil and Argentina. Yeah.
Morocco are the only African side left, and that's kind of typically how it is. Like, it's going to pretty much, bro, like every World Cup of recent. See, we'll get into the next topic here in a second here, but my final point, just pretty much every World Cup recently is mostly European teams, and then if Brazil or Argentina are doing good, they'll be in the mix. That's just
Yeah,
what
it's,
it is.
yeah.
Colombia, they were all right. They only made the quarterfinals. It's like
Uruguay
UEFA.
made the quarterfinals in 2018. I remember them knocking out Portugal.
It's European teams and then a dash
It was dash of South American
North American
teams.
teams. Exactly. That's pretty much just what the World Cup is. So the Euros is definitely a high level, which is, you know, why, some people are expecting England to win it all. But, we talked about that. But I think moving forward, oh, well, it'd be our official Portugal versus Morocco preview and prediction. And you know, I think without further ado, we just waffled on a long time with Spain and all that. So let's go ahead and get into this official preview and prediction of Morocco versus Portugal. And I'll go ahead and pass this off to you first. What is your expectation and prediction for this match?
I think Portugal coming off that that absolute statement win against Switzerland, they're gonna be starting off this game with so much confidence. I mean, they're oozing with confidence. I mean, they know they can score for fun because this is what we've been saying. This team has been so gifted in the attacking sense, and I think they're gonna start off this game, scoring somewhat early. I think they score in the first 20 minutes, and I don't think it'll be as high scoring as a game as it was the Switzerland game, but I see this one being a somewhat comfortable win for Portugal. I think they win 3-1, and I think Morocco will be able to snag one goal because we've seen little lapses in judgment from this Portuguese team. Not very many, but I mean we saw it against South Korea. We saw it against I believe what was the first team they played? Was it Ghana? It wasn't Ghana,
Yeah,
was
got
it? Okay, it was Ghana. Yeah, they played Ghana. That was probably the most vulnerable we've seen them, but that was the first game of the tournament. They've had a lot of time to build upon that, but I definitely have to back Portugal. They were the more dominant team in their first round. I mean, if we're just looking at it straight from that, I mean, it's kind of hard to give Morocco a chance because they they went to 0-0 and won on penalties. I mean, this Portuguese team blew Switzerland basically off the map. So I have to give the edge to Portugal. Ronaldo, no Ronaldo, Joao Cancelo, no Joao Cancelo. Doesn't matter. Portugal get this done 3-1.
Before I go ahead and get my prediction here, do you think that Ronaldo or Cancelo make it back into the starting 11?
No, I think Santos is going to keep this the exact same lineup that he won against Switzerland because the the saying is how it is. I mean, if it ain't broke, you don't gotta fix it. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah. Well, I can 100% agree with that. I think coming into this match, Morocco are a very good team. There's a reason why we both predicted them to get this far in the first place, and knocking off Spain. And then actually, it did actually happen. So Morocco are a very good team, and Portugal cannot take this game lightly. They can't think that they have the easiest matchup in the quarterfinals, which a lot of people would say that they probably do, but you can't go into it thinking like that, because you have to respect this team and what they've accomplished. And there's a reason why they've made it this far. But with that being said, coming off of this dominant win against Switzerland, I think this Portugal team is oozing with confidence. I think that tactically speaking, Fernando Santos is going to continue on with the same exact lineup, and he's going to continue on with the same exact tactics because why would he change it? Similar to what you said, it ain't broke, don't fix it. I expect it to be the same exact 11, and I expect to see more of this free flowing, beautiful Portuguese football that we've been seeing this whole tournament, but especially in the Switzerland game, it was an absolute masterclass to the highest degree. I expect it to continue on like that. And, you know, I don't know if we could expect Goncalo Ramos to, continue on with his amazing form, getting another hat trick or anything like that. But I think he's going to play well. I think he's going to, he's obviously oozing with confidence, being able to score a hat trick in his first ever World Cup game. And I think, if there's one thing that we can guarantee based on what we've seen this tournament is we're going to see another Bruno Fernandes masterclass. He's been putting on a show this entire World Cup, been one of the
Another
most
good game
dominant.
from Joao Felix.
Oh yeah, but I think specifically Bruno Fernandes, he's going to have a good game, and then also, like you mentioned, Joao Felix, he's been putting on a show this World Cup. He's keeping Ronaldo out of the starting 11 as well, based on how good he's been playing, and I just think this Portugal team is going to be able to continue on with this good form. I picked this matchup to happen in our prediction video, and I picked Portugal to go through. I'm not changing that, especially based on what I've seen, because Portugal looks even better than I said they were when I said they were improving, and my mind was changing on Portugal in the sense of I think that this team could go and win it all. Now I think that they, potentially will win it all. I'm still, standing by my original pick of Argentina, but this Portugal team is really, really putting on a show, and they're showing just how good they are and can be on their day. And I'm expecting Portugal to win this game comfortably, 3-1. The same exact scoreline I think you did. I
You're
give
just
Morocco
copying me.
I give Morocco a goal because I think that they are going to be able to create some chances on this Portuguese team because, even Switzerland, they were able to get a goal. This team can be scored on, but I think Portugal is going to score more, quite simply. They're going to create
Hmm.
the better of the chances. They're going to have more possession. And it's going to take Portugal having a really off game for Morocco to get the win here, in my opinion. It can happen. It's
Yeah.
football. Anything can happen. And, this Moroccan defense is looking like a tough nut to crack. We saw that against Spain. But it's going to take Portugal missing some chances and Morocco getting, lucky in the sense of, you know, holding this Portuguese attack to nothing. And I don't know if I see that happening just based on what I've seen.
What percentage chance do you give Morocco and
Of,
Portugal?
of winning the game.
Yeah.
I mean, it's knockout stage football, so you never want to say it's impossible because look, similar to what they did against Spain, if you hold them to a 0-0, you can take this all the way to pens, and then a pens is, but that's just a coin flip, So they have a chance. I would say if I had to put a percentage on it, I'm putting 70-30. I think Portugal are comfortable favorites, and that's why they deserve that 70% chance of going through. But you can't count out this Moroccan team based on everything we've seen. Their defense is very strong. Bunu is playing absolutely unbelievable. They have Hakimi. They have Mazraoui, who plays for Bayern Munich. They have a strong midfield, and then they have Ziyech, who didn't have the best game against Spain, but we know what he can do on his day. He's a set piece mastermind. He can do it all. And, they have Boufal, who plays well. They have a very solid team, very strong team. So you have to give them a good chance, but I don't see it happening.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, I was posing that question, and I was perfectly thinking 70-30 as well to Portugal. I think they're the team with the most confidence, the most swagger going to it. And this is where you really want to see your team perform the best. I mean, this is what this competition is about. Who catches fire? Who catches the rhythm? And there's not a better time to catch a rhythm than the round of 16 because now you're starting to roll into deeper into the competition. A lot of teams would prefer you start out the round of 16 strong, and that's what Portugal did. Like you said, I think that it gives them a better shot of like looking at a team that could actually win this all. They could realistically win the World Cup without Cristiano Ronaldo and without Joao Cancelo
Crazy to say.
because this is just what this competition is about. It's knockout football. It isn't the best of a series. It's who's better on the night, and it's about the people who's in form, the team who's in form. And Portugal is the most informed team, probably edging out Brazil in my opinion. But we're going to get into Brazil and South Korea in just a second. But they just edge them out, and that you have to give them as favorites. Everybody has them as favorites, but that's not to count out Morocco. I highly rate Morocco. They have great players. I it's a valiant effort for them to get this far, but the story's got to end. The Cinderella story has an ending, so we'll be there to watch it. We'll get our initial reactions, but that's what I believe is going to happen, and I think that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, 100% agree. I can't wait to post some of these initial reaction videos, to these games. Hopefully they don't get copyrighted by FIFA. Again,
Don't record the screen. Just
I
don't
won't be
record the screen.
I won't be doing that, obviously. But I think it's time. It's a swift transition onto one team who now is looking like favorites. And now moving on to the team that is, the favorites, Brazil, and how they fared in their round of 16 match against South Korea. And I think everyone expected them to win, but maybe they didn't expect them to win this dominantly. So I'll go ahead and pass this one off to you first. What was your initial reaction to this game?
I got this one completely wrong. I thought this was going to be a very close game. I gave, I believe, South Korea a, I think to 35 to 40% chance of winning this game. And my God, was it absolutely emphatically wrong. Brazil stomped them. This was almost a televised murder. I mean, Brazil played how Brazil do. They played Brazilian beautiful football. I mean, the passes. I mean, the transitions, the finishing. It was clinical classic Brazil, and I didn't think they would be able to get as many chances as they did against this South Korean team. We've seen the South Korean team play fairly well through this tournament, and I thought they would pose a good challenge on Brazil. I mean, we saw Neymar come back. Would Neymar be 100%? Neymar looks like Neymar. He played absolutely spectacular. Vinicius played well. He scored. Richarlison played well. He scored. Casemiro, just the absolute backbone of this midfield. I mean, this entire team played well. They played so good that they switched goalkeepers. They were having players. They're making subs to let other guys get warm. I mean, this is how comfortable this win was for Brazil, and it was just it took me by surprise. I thought this would be a close game because we haven't really seen Brazil play this well yet. And I mean, what a time to start playing well. Around the 16, as soon as your things started rolling, Neymar looked spectacular. Your entire team looks like it's firing on all cylinders. And it's unfortunate for South Korea. I mean, you could feel for Heung-min Son, not on the best form. I mean, we mentioned that last episode. He hasn't been in the best form recently, but we thought he could maybe make a splash, make a real appearance in this game. But it was just another nonchalant. He was there, but it wasn't really there, and unfortunate they have to go home. But this is the favorites. This is Brazil. They had to get past around the 16, and they look highly dominant. I mean, after the game I watched, I thought this is the most beautiful performance of football I've seen so far. Just because how Brazil are. This is what we've all want to see. This is the Brazilian, the style that we love, and it's going to be really exciting to see them go against Croatia in the next round because I think Croatia pose a lot of problems to Brazil that they can probably get them at. But that's probably a discussion for another time. And I think that was my thoughts on the original on that going into the game, how that game turned out.
I wanted to, before I go in and give my take on this, you obviously, I think, rate Vinicius higher than almost anybody I know. So I know you were loving the performance that he had. Just how good do you think Vinicius played, and what do you think about him going forward in this tournament?
I picked him for the young player award. I think, unfortunately, you could kind of almost put that to bed. I think Jude Bellingham and I don't think Mbappe doesn't qualify for it. No, I don't think Mbappe
does. No.
Okay, I think Jude Bellingham already has this award basically wrapped up. I mean, Jude Bellingham's unbelievable, but yeah, I highly rate Vinicius. I think Vinicius is the second best player on this Brazilian team, right there with Neymar. I mean, the finish that he had was gorgeous finish, and he had a absolutely spectacular assist. I mean, when Vinicius is playing freely like how he does, he's unstoppable. I mean, his how he plays is a good modern day Brazilian because he doesn't play exactly like Neymar. He doesn't really allow people to challenge him that much because he either uses his pace to get out of it. He doesn't really beat people. He doesn't go through a lot of people. He beats them on the wing, or he just gets the ball out of his feet so he can make a run. I love how he plays. I've behind the Vinicius train since he joined Real Madrid back in 2019. No, 2017? I think it was 2017 or 2018.
You backed Vinicius even when he wasn't playing well. When he
after his he had a decent first season, but then he had the atrocity that was the 2020 season where he played horrible. I think only had 3 goal contributions that entire season to where he looked horrible. But the transformation that he's had, the work that he's put behind the scenes, I've looked into a lot of it because I had to know how did he flip the switch like this in 2021 where he just looked like the best winger in football. And he's done so much. There's so much he does off the pitch, so much hard work he does to get better at the game, and that's finally showing off. And this is what I've been telling everybody, that this guy is the next guy. I mean, Madrid finally hit on a Brazilian winger. They saw Barcelona snag Neymar from them. They weren't going to let it happen again, and I think that's what Real Madrid have. They have the next great Brazilian winger, and he's if Vinicius is playing well for this Brazilian team and Neymar is playing well, it's going to be really hard to beat this team. I mean, that's why this team is the favorite.
The last question about Vinicius: do you think that going forward for when obviously for Real Madrid and in Brazil in the future, do you think Vinicius will end up being like a top 5 player in the world?
I think in 2021 he was a top 5 player in the world. That season, the season that just end, season before this one, he was a top 5 player in the world, and he has those things. By the time the next World Cup comes around, I think he's going to be the captain of Brazil. He's going to be Brazil's best player. By 4 years from now, I think he'll if he isn't, he's going to be if he isn't a perennial top 3 player by 4 years, then something horribly has gone wrong because he's only getting better. He has a couple of, issues where he has finishing issues, but so did early Neymar. Early Neymar wasn't the greatest finisher ever. I mean, it came in time, and I think it's coming in time for Vinicius. He's getting the chance to flourish under getting the chance to play for 2 great teams, Real Madrid, and then getting a chance to play with Brazil, having, to play with Neymar, and then having to play with Benzema. He's getting the best teaching that he could possibly get, and he works very hard off the pitch to improve his game. So I think he's already a perennial top 5 player. Like when he's on his day, he's the best winger in football. And, I think that's not really that much, really a shock to say that, yeah, I think he's going to be, as soon as Neymar is out of this team, it's Vinny's team. As soon as Neymar is gone, it's Vinny's team.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. About Vinicius. Before I give into my take, I think it's interesting. Brazil, no, Real Madrid. Today they just announced, or they haven't. It's not official, but it's looking like it's about to be official that they're getting Endrick. From the Brazilian league, and he's supposed to be that next guy. They're paying 72 million for a 16.
Everybody from Brazil, any European team buys from Brazil is going to be the next thing.
They can't even he can't even join the club for 2 years. They're paying 72 million right now.
Yeah.
Can't join
How old is he? Isn't he like 17?
16.
How old is
16.
16 years old?
Paying 72 million for a 16-year-old. It's kind of crazy. But obviously everyone rates him extremely highly. I mean, R9 himself literally said that he should have been at the World Cup.
Jesus.
So
stuff like that destroys players, man. To have so much pressure thrown upon you. I mean, it's super, super, super hard to withstand that weight and pressure. The saying as old as time, pressure makes diamonds. But I can't really remember another player that had so much pressure from an early age, from 16 years old, getting thrown at. He's probably going to be picked up by Madrid and thrown into the academy, and brought up through the second team to the first team. That's really hard to do. I mean, it's very, very hard, very difficult to keep developing, especially when you're thrown into another, into the pool where there's other really, really great players. There's a lot of good players in academies that we don't know about. And, even when you're getting, R9, Ronaldo is hyping you up this much, it's a lot to live up to.
Yeah.
But this has been Madrid's MO for a while. They love poaching Brazilian talent. This is what they love. I mean, who doesn't love a good Brazilian winger? Yeah.
I mean, like it's one thing. Like if you wait, I mean, this kid is already so highly regarded that PSG were in for him, Chelsea were in for him, every big club was.
I saw that PSG are officially out of the race because their bids got rejected.
But they wanted it. Everyone wanted him. That's the point that I'm trying to make here. So it's smart.
Yeah, everybody wanted him.
It's smart to go after it and sign him up and get him in your academy now, because if you wait, Real Madrid they're always able to sign anyone pretty much. They have the money, they have the pull, they can get whoever they want. But you're getting him for 72 million now. If he turns into the player everyone expects him to be,
how the market is going, my
he's
God,
a $300 million player. He's a 300 million player in 5 years, probably, when Madrid would be, oh my God, this guy is a top 5 player in the world. We got to sign him. Well, now it's going to cost you 300 million. But they're getting him for a steal. Obviously, when you're signing kids so young and you're paying such a hefty price tag, it can go the other way too. They can fail. we've seen kids this young, go to the hugest of the huge clubs and fail. I think that like we all, this kid, he's not a failure because of, he's turned around his career and he's, turned into something pretty good. But Martin Odegaard was so highly regarded when he was 16 years old. He never quite lived up to the billing, so, kids are obviously super hyped up in the game, and Odegaard, he lived
He
up
joined
to,
the team at 16 as well.
and he was able to get something out of his career. He's the captain of Arsenal right now. That's the number one in the Premier League. So he's done something, but he's not been a Ballon d'Or candidate or anything like that.
I think, yeah, and he could have got to that point a bit sooner if he didn't get thrown into the fire so young. I think he,
and I
like
think
how people treat Erling Haaland's career, basically. I think how Haaland handled it was perfect. I mean, he
yeah, I
took
agree with that.
RB Leipzig to Dortmund, and now after Dortmund, that's like the next step. When people like Luka Jovic go from
I was gonna say him, bro. That's crazy. You remember?
Luka Jovic to Real Madrid, and you're there to replace Benzema. Jesus, the fire the Madrid fans throw you in, especially when
It doesn't
like
go well.
and Madrid fans, like, I mean, we're the most entitled fans probably in the entire world. I mean, I will never forget when we signed Hazard. The fans were screaming, "We want Mbappe." There was Mbappe chants at Hazard's unveiling. That's how entitled we are. I mean, it's hard to like sway the fans and have the fans love. I mean, our fans have hated Vinny up until last season, to where Vinny's finally playing good. It's just how it is. I mean, a lot of fans, but I think Madrid fans are the most entitled because we have won the most. We expect to win everything. We expect to have the best players, the Galactico standard.
Yeah.
So this is what this kid's gonna get thrown into, and we'll just have to see how it goes. I mean, if Madrid pull this off, I think it's a good bit of business. I mean, it's 70 mil. I mean, Madrid always been fairly smart with their money. I mean, that, like, very recently selling Casemiro, getting Chumani, and I think that's another name that goes under the bar. How well Chumani has been playing for this French team. I mean, he's been playing out of his mind. I mean,
One of
this
the
guy,
reasons, why
one of the
they're
reasons they're going
favorite.
very far. Chumani kind of is like a Pogba, but a Kante hybrid. I mean, this guy has the physicality of Pogba, but the engine and defending of an N'Golo Kante. I'm over the moon that
He's probably not as good attacking wise as Pogba
yeah,
is.
as Pogba, but he has the physicality. He's as tall, and he can be the backbone of a Champions League winning team. He could be the backbone of a World Cup winning team.
He's so
But
young already, so
yeah,
we're
yeah,
talking.
he's like 20. He's like 20 years old.
They replaced Casemiro, who was aging. He's still a world class player, but they replaced him
Yeah,
with somebody who is
it
similar,
was
if
a
not at the
genius.
same
It's
level.
genius business.
And
Genius
he's 10
business.
years younger or whatever. It's a genius business. It was good business. And they snagged him right under Liverpool's nose, which I'm quite happy with because
And I think we got him for a bargain. I mean, we got him for like 80 million. I'm not
in
just think
today's
how much
market,
Jude Bellingham is going to be for. Jude Bellingham is
double
about
that.
$150 million player, and we got someone I think who's, obviously they're so different. They're very different players, but for what they do, the position they fill, the job they do on your team, I think they're just Tuchemani is just as good as Bellingham at what he does. I mean, to be that center defense, I think he's the best center defensive midfielder in the world.
Yeah,
So
Bellingham. Yeah, yeah. In terms of center, yeah, in terms of a pure center defensive mid, you're giving it to Tchouaméni because of what he's able to do, and he's also able to distribute the ball very well, and he
yeah,
picks passes very well. I would say Bellingham is like if you need a midfielder for a box to box role, give me
he's
Jude
the
Bellingham.
oh my god, he's the perfect one.
Bellingham is so good box to box. That's what he's been for this England team, and that's why his price tag continues to go up. I mean, let's just I mean, I don't think it's one of those things. I don't think the performances can even make his price go up even any higher because it's already exponentially higher because of how good he's been in the World Cup. I think
Yeah,
he's going to cost teams upwards of 200 million, and they're saying around 150.
I don't
I
think you'll
think
get 200 million.
I think it's going to be upwards of that. It's going to be like 170, 175. You know what I mean? Like teams are going to
Yeah,
be willing to pay a hefty price.
you
Uh,
pay the price. I feel like this is the more like one of the most like for sure lock deals. Like you don't get a lot of lock deals. I think the ones that were locks were Erling Haaland and what's going to be Jude Bellingham and Mbappe. I mean, those are the only like for sure locks that like okay, you throw whatever money these guys ask for because you know the class that you're gonna get. But
Yeah.
before we get like too off topic, I want to get your opinions on this Brazil Croatia matchup. Oh no! Wait, my bad. Brazil South Korea. Your reactions to that game?
We're gonna get into
We'll
Brazil
get into
versus
that one. Yeah, Brazil
uh,
Croatia.
exactly. But I 100% agree with what you said. It was a dominant Brazil win, and from minute one, they showed that they were the better team, and they proved that they were the favorites for a reason. Not only to win this game, but the whole tournament. They played probably some of the best football them as a team have played the entire World Cup. Similar to Portugal, they're peaking at the right time. They're getting healthy. Neymar is back, fully fit. And Danilo is back. I was worried about their fullback situation. Obviously you don't want to play Militao at fullback, but he can do the job there. And as long as they have one fullback, they played Danilo at left back and they played Militao at right back. That's doable. It's not bad. Militao, he gets the job done, especially against South Korea. You didn't need, your top of the line guy. But I would just say they played beautiful football. They did what they needed to do. Neymar came back into the side seamlessly. He looked like he was never injured at all. I was worried that he might re-aggravate his ankle injury. They might go after it again, but obviously that didn't happen. And he was able to get taken off, at like the 80th minute. So that's good that he was able to, continue his rest and not play the full 90 because he didn't need to, quite frankly. I would just say I was very impressed with what I saw. I think we know how good this Brazil team is. I know how good this Brazil team is. This Brazil team is good enough to win the World Cup, obviously. It's going to come down, in my opinion, like we all predicted, that Argentina versus Brazil matchup in the semifinals. Whoever wins that, in my opinion, is probably going to go on and win the whole World Cup. France, they're obviously going to put up a fight about that. Mbappe might not like that I said that. It's between,
Mbappe.
it's going to be tough, but I just think all things considered, this is what I expected to happen. This is what needed to happen. And it's good that they're peaking at the right time because, they have a very tough game coming up next in the quarterfinals. And their best players seem to be playing their best right now, which is exactly what you want. We had talked about maybe off camera that Vinicius hasn't been playing as good as he does for Real Madrid for this Brazilian national team because he doesn't quite have a guy like Benzema to play the ball off of. But I think this was just probably his best game of the World Cup so far. And I think maybe he's finally adjusting to a certain extent, whether it's Tite kind of helping him out a little bit, Neymar, helping him and guiding him how he can contribute the most. Whatever it was, there was an adjustment and Vinicius played his best game. And I think if Vinicius is playing this well with this Brazilian team from here on in, that just adds a whole another dimension because they were smoking teams in the group stages and playing very well. And Vinicius wasn't quite firing as good as we know he can. Now it looks like he's firing, almost like he does for Real Madrid, and it's getting even more scary. And that's not even to include the fact that Richarlison seems to be, found his form. Unlike I'd never thought he could. He's playing top. He's playing like one of the best strikers in the world right now, and Richarlison, for club is obviously not that guy. Tottenham fans are kicking themselves, wondering where is this guy
Where's
when
this guy been?
and Paqueta, I rate him highly. He's able to do he's able to get a goal. He had a cool dance, you got to rate that. And then, Casemiro,
The
you give him his
Brazilian
flowers.
dances.
This Brazilian defense looks solid, but it is South Korea, so they weren't, they did, they conceded a goal, but they weren't tested that much. Brazil, it's interesting because they probably haven't played somebody that's, even close to their level. So I don't think they've truly been tested. So I think it's going to be kind of it's hard to gauge them because their toughest game is still to come. They haven't played a team that's truly tested them. So like I rate them very highly based on what they've done because they have truly dismantled teams. They haven't like let themselves be tested. But I don't know. I think they can be get at though, and that's why I do think that they probably won't go on to win the tournament. But all things considered, it was a dominant win and they proved themselves. So more power to them. It was a dominant result, and there's not much more to say about it. Other than the fact that they did what they needed to do and they took care of business.
Absolutely, man. I mean, that's what we expected from Brazil. But I mean, going into the next round, they play a team that is about as very proven in this competition. They made the final last World Cup 2018. They were in the final, and this is a very well built, well set up Croatian team.
Hmm.
And I'm gonna give my thoughts on it first before I pass it on to you. Given
Okay, yeah.
Brazil versus Croatia, and what I expect from it, and I think I don't really I don't fancy this Croatian team that much. I mean, I had Japan winning, and Japan lost on penalties. I mean, it's penalties like we said is a coin flip, but I mean Croatia didn't look horrible versus Japan. I mean Japan's a good team. I rate them highly as a good team. But are any of those teams really Brazil at this moment? I mean, does any of those teams have the firepower that Brazil have? I think that's what it's really just going to come down to. That the firepower that Brazil have is just going to be far too much for this Croatia defense. I mean, where do they start? I mean, who do you defend first? I mean, Richarlison's playing like R9 Ronaldo. You got Neymar playing like Neymar. Vinny looking like Ronaldinho. I mean, he was the first. They compared that he has I think either the same amount of knockout goals as Ronaldinho. I mean, when you're in the same stat line as Ronaldinho, you're doing something good, Vinny. You're on the right track. So I mean, that's what it's going to come down to. I think the only real real place that this Croatian team can give them a little trouble is in the midfield. They have a very this Croatian team has always had strong midfields, led by Luka Modric. But I think just from what Brazil are very good at, they're very good at. They can break you down. They can counter you very well. I mean, when you have dynamic players like Vinicius Jr. and even on their bench they have such depth in attack. You know, you can play a very good 90 minutes against this Brazil team. Hold them to maybe a nil, but you spent 90 minutes trying to defend Vinny. Now you have to defend Anthony. You have to defend Rafinha, who could start or he could come on. This is like this is just the wave that Brazil bring to you. They bring a wave of attack, and I think it's just going to be far too much for this Croatian team. I have Brazil winning this game fairly comfortably. I think they win 2-0.
So that's all you? That's your all you got?
Yeah, I mean, as far I don't know if Croatia can really do much with this Brazilian team. I don't know if they have the firepower to really put them in a bad spot. I think they can. They're going to have their moments. They're going to have their chances, but are they going to capitalize on them? I don't really think they can or they will. So that's why I just have Brazil winning very comfortably and getting their booking their spot to the semifinals.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of what I expect for this game, it's very similar to what you expect. I think that this Brazilian team has shown its firepower and just how dominant they can look, given it was South Korea. So this is a steeper test. I think that this Croatian team can cause them problems. But, Croatia's strengths are their midfield and their defense. Their attack isn't as lethal as you would like, and it's going to be very tough to hold this Brazilian team to, no goals or, maybe even one goal. That's what it's going to take. This Croatian team isn't scoring 3 goals on you. It's not scoring maybe even 2 goals on you. They might be able to bag one. They maybe, and at most they can get two, but this Croatian team doesn't have the firepower to keep up with this Brazilian team, in my opinion. And it's basically going to come down to Brazil's strengths, which is probably, I mean, their whole team is a strength, but their biggest strength is that how lethal their attack is and how good it looks. So it's going to be Brazil's attack going at Croatia's probably best part. Their defense looks so strong right now, led by Gavardio, who is, he's probably going to be $100 million center back. That's how good he is. I say it every episode how good he's been playing and how he's going to get a move. I hope he goes to Chelsea. I'm praying because I
Of
think
course you do.
because they're linked, but also, he's a very, very good center back. So I
Didn't you
think
just get Fafana?
we did. That doesn't mean we
Well,
can't get Gavardio as well.
Jesus,
I mean,
man. I
yeah, he
mean,
can
okay,
totally get the bag, but
okay,
that's besides
whatever.
the point. I think, Croatia do have a very strong midfield. And I think that they also do have a very strong defense, but I don't know if they're going to be able to keep up with this Brazil team because this Brazil team has probably just as good of a midfield, on paper, and then just as good of a defense. So it's like, does Croatia do anything better than this Brazilian team? I don't think so, all things considered. And even if they do, have a slightly better midfield on paper or whatever, it's not going to be enough to overcome just how dominant this Brazil team is as a whole team. So I think it's going to be a fairly comfortable win for Brazil. I expect it to be 3-1 once again. I think I don't see them being able to contain this Brazilian attack for very long. It's like you can withstand the pressure for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, but eventually it's like a dam. Eventually the floodgates are going to open. That's what's going to happen with this Brazilian team. I think that once Brazil gets that first goal, and that Croatia probably has to come out of their shell slightly more than what they would like, then the floodgates will open, and Brazil are going to comfortably win this game and move on to the semifinals. Hopefully, with the matchup against Argentina, but it could be the Netherlands as well. And that's when Brazil are going to be truly tested, in my opinion, because either one of those teams, whether it's the Netherlands or Argentina, are going to be able to put this team truly, like they're going to truly be able to test this team, more so than I think Croatia will. So I just think it's going to be a fairly comfortable win, all things considered.
Yeah, and you know, hopefully basically Croatia had to go into this game. Do not let Brazil score within the first 20 minutes, because this Brazil team, they're front runners. I mean, this is probably the most front running team in the competition. As soon as you let them score, they start dancing. I mean, as soon as Neymar scored a pen, yeah, it's like they start dancing. Neymar, damn, left the pitch after he scored. He jumped in the crowd. He was gone for like 10 minutes, man. I mean, this team, when it's feeling itself, I think that's when you cannot let this Brazilian team get into its rhythm,
Yeah, I
because
100% agree with that.
that's when they start, when they start being able to pull off their tiki taka type style, is when you're at their mercy. You cannot let them get into their rhythm. You have to be on them, and you can't let them score, you know, very early in this game, because you let them score early, it's going to go downhill. I mean, this team's going to start getting more confident when it goes up front, and it's just going to build. So Croatia, their only chance to win this, I mean, I'd give them about 35% chance to win this. I mean, this is the favorites we're talking about, but it's football, knockout football, anything can happen. But if if Croatia want anything good to come out of this game, they're going to have to stop Brazil from scoring early, because that's what this team is built on, momentum, and it's front running.
I think that we saw this in the group stages. You made a very good point. When Brazil don't, score early and they don't, get that quick goal, you can see, they do get slightly frustrated. They aren't when they aren't able to execute the things that they want to be able to execute. The quick plays, the skills, the flicks, things like that. They get a little bit like when they do get to the final third, they get a little bit confused. They don't know what to do, in the sense of like, okay, nothing is working right now. We're trying all these things, it's not working. We're not able to score. I think the game that we saw this the most was probably the Serbia game. They were able to contain
The
that
first one.
Brazilian. They were able to contain that Brazilian attack relatively well, and you could see it took a
It
moment of
took
brilliance.
moments of brilliance. Yeah.
It took a moment of brilliance for them to finally be broken down,
Yeah.
and that's Croatia's best chance. You have to get this Brazilian team slightly frustrated. You have to do the little things. You have to foul. I mean, I've complained about it before because I don't like to see hella fouling and stuff like that. But you have to foul them consistently. You can't let this game get into rhythm. You have to. Neymar gets on the ball and he starts dribbling, you foul him. If they start passing the ball around you, playing some good football, you have to foul them. You have to get them out of rhythm. Keep it a very choppy game. And if you play a very physical, choppy game, that's when Brazil might be able to get slightly exposed, and that's when you might be able to feel the tide switching. And all it takes is one goal. All it takes is one counterattack or one moment of brilliance from Luka Modric, Kovacic, Brozovic, this midfield, giving a good pass and things like that. And this game turns on its head. And then it turns into Brazil very frustrated, getting what is it called? Getting desperate.
Hmm.
And if that is the case, and Croatia can get under their skin and make Brazil desperate and get it to the point where, it's like, they're begging to the ref and things like that. When a good team is a little bit shell shocked and they get desperate. You can see it. And
Yeah, just how
that's
they react to the ref and everything.
and that's Croatia's best chance at getting something out of this game. And I think Croatia knows that. I think that they're a well coached team. I think that they do those little things well. So I think that's why I have to give them a good chance, not a good chance, but a chance, similar to you. I would give them a 35 to 40 is pushing it, but in that range of
Yeah.
chance of winning this game. because Croatia, they have done it in this competition. They've beaten very good teams. They shown their pedigree, especially in the last World Cup. They have world class players, but this Brazil team is probably just a notch above. But it is knockout football. Anything can happen, especially when you have two great teams going at it like this. All it takes is one goal. All it takes is one moment of brilliance. Either way, and this game turns on its head and it turns into, something we didn't expect. So you can't fully count Croatia out, but if I'm a betting man, I'm putting the house on Brazil.
Yeah, and I did like that you mentioned that you touched upon it. I think that will be eventually be the downfall of Brazil. That I have them. We both have them playing Argentina in the next game. I think Argentina are very good at making games ugly, and they're good at winning those ugly games. I don't really see Brazil running into maybe in England or maybe an Argentina or a France. Those other teams, I think they can win ugly games. They can make things difficult. They can have a bunch of fouls, have a bunch of inconsistency. Have never a very flowing game. Because if a game is flowing, it's in Brazil's favor. I mean, if things are just naturally progressing, not very many like stoppages in the rhythm, you're at Brazil's mercy. So yeah, any team that wants to get at this Brazil team, you have to make it ugly. You have to, get a couple fouls. Maybe your team has to rack up a couple yellows. Like this is just what's going to have to be. That you can't let this team be free flowing.
I 100% agree. That's the only way they have a chance. I 100% agree with that.
Yeah.
But unless there's anything else you wanted to touch upon with the World Cup, I do actually have one question. I think I forgot to mention it when we talked about the South Korea and Brazil game, but I've seen a little bit of controversy about the whole Brazilian dancing thing. And, I saw some people saying that it's disrespectful and they shouldn't be allowed to do it. I saw Alexi Lalas
Alexi Lalas.
he snapped back at
Of
the fans that were
course.
saying that, and he said that was you're completely out of your depth if you think that they shouldn't be dancing, blah blah blah. I just wanted to go ahead and get your thoughts on the Brazilian dancing celebrations and them. Some people look at it as boastful, I guess, and disrespectful that the way that they're doing it. I don't know. I just wanted to get your thoughts on what you thought about that.
It's a bit like braggadocious. It's showboaty. But that's what this Brazil team is, man. I mean, they've been doing this forever since they got this young core of players. When they got Vinicius, I mean, Vinicius has been doing this at the club level. This is what he does. I mean, this is the Brazilian style. They love to dance. They love to express their love for the game. And when they're playing good, this is what they do. Maybe I think it can go on long for a while. Like, I mean, especially when like Neymar is running off the pitch and shit. Like he's jumping in the crowd. I think it gets a bit much. But as far as not allowing them to dance, I think that's a bit of like what are you talking about? Like what do you want to do? Like basically almost like silence the game. You're not allowed to celebrate after goals anymore. But it's their style. I mean, it wouldn't be Brazil if they didn't. I mean, this is what we see from a lot of South American teams. I mean, this is how, other than Argentina, a lot like we've seen like Colombia, Ecuador, these players, this is how they express themselves. Because I mean, in South America, they're known for dancing. This is what that's how their best way of expression. So
Yeah,
no, you shouldn't be allowed to stop them from doing that. Hey, I got something for you. You don't want them to dance? Don't let them score. How about
you took
that?
you took the words straight out of my mouth. I 100.
you don't
I, I
you don't you don't like how they celebrate? Then beat them. That's it.
quite frankly, you took the words right out of my mouth with that. I think that you hit it straight on the head. You hit the bullseye. You shot it straight. Quite simply, if you don't want this Brazilian team to, dance on you and do those things, don't let them score. Beat them.
Yeah.
That's the only way. I mean, you can't stop somebody from expressing themselves in the way that they want to. And you could say that it's disrespectful. You could say that they're, it's braggadocious, whatever you want to say. It's football. They're celebrating. They've just scored a goal, and it's the World Cup. They're trying to win this thing, and they feel like every goal is going to take them one step
It's like
closer to
yeah, sambo, bro. It's just how
it.
it is.
It's just what it is. Like they are entitled and allowed to celebrate every way that they should, and if they dance on you, that's just what it is. Like, I don't think you should be able to stop them, and I don't think it's disrespectful, and you know what I mean. Like, if I'm playing and we concede and somebody starts dancing, of course I'm gonna be upset. I can think back in my playing days, and you can probably think back as well. If that happened,
Anybody's yeah, I know, but
if
at the
that
point,
happened
I
to
mean,
us,
you just conceding is annoying
we would
in
be
itself.
we would be mad. But when you're looking at it from the fans' perspective, and you just you just take your hands back and you just look at it from a third person POV, it's what makes the game fun. This is the world's biggest stage, and they've scored a goal. They're taking themselves one step closer to winning this World Cup, and it's so hard to score. Especially when you're playing such great teams. They should be allowed to celebrate like this. I don't see anything wrong with it. I don't think that this is ever going to change. I don't think that
Never
FIFA's
going to be a problem. Yeah,
I don't think FIFA's putting a rule in place saying that you're going to get a yellow
no
card if you
more
start
celebrating.
dancing. I know stranger things have happened, but I don't know. I did see a lot of controversy about it, recently on social media. So I did want to get your thoughts and then give my thoughts on that. But besides
Yeah.
that, you
Oh,
know,
but I did want, dude. We had to live through the era where Antoine Griezmann was hitting Fortnite celebrate. He was doing the L, dude. Like that.
he
This
did
is
the
shit we
hotline
had to live
bling.
through. With the hotline bling, like this is shit that we've. I mean, he did that in the 2018 World Cup when they
Yeah,
did it. You know how, and especially his bro. Griezmann's probably the most annoying celebrator I've ever seen in sports. In entirety of sports, he's the most annoying. And look, I compared
L
that to
dance is more
Brazil.
disrespectful.
Yeah, like no, his is way more disrespectful. I mean, but we didn't hear. I guess because Brazil's doing it as a team, but still, I mean, like
Yeah,
we saw how teams reacted to Atletico Griezmann doing the you beat Atletico, you beat them, you take them out, so he can't do that no more. So yeah, especially when like I saw Rafael Lau today hit the gritty. I mean, dude, I was waiting for it, do the first gritty of the World Cup, and we got it,
of course
but
it had to be Rafael
it
Leao.
had to be Rafael Lau, the youngster. But it's it's the game. I mean, I think we might be used to it in the states because we're just so over there. Their culture, they don't really like. They're not like that. That's not their
They,
culture.
they just kind of hug and they like it's
Yeah,
passionate, but
yeah.
it's not like dancing and stuff
It's
like that.
not it's not dancing like here in the states, bro. I mean, everybody's grittying right now. We hit hit the gritty.
Score a
And,
touchdown, it's gritty.
and then we transfer from the dab. Oh my god, thank God the dab died, bro. That shit was horrible. Bro,
There's
Paul
always there's
Pogba made
always
that.
there's always some kind of dance going on.
Yeah, there's always a thing. So we're kind of like numb to it or used to it, but I can
Yeah,
understand where it could bother them because it's like they're more about respect and all that. But
yeah. They get mad it's the culture. It's a culture. Like you think
yeah,
about you compare it to American sports. Team players get traded, and so often in Europe. You score against your former team. You put your hands up. You show respect to the club.
here in the NFL, dude, you're
You show
trash
respect.
talking your team on Twitter. You telling people you're gonna kill them.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like it's just a
It's just
cultural thing.
funny. Yeah.
But I think it's a perfect segue, unless you have anything else you wanted to touch on in the world of soccer at the moment.
Yeah, until we're super excited for the next round, and there won't be necessarily an episode of us covering, but you guys will see our reactions to it. We're gonna be active on all our social media. So here's another reminder: social media is in the description below.
Yeah, I think
Follow
we.
them all to stay connected.
I think the day we get back from the trip is like 2 days. Like I don't know exactly when. I'm gonna look at it. I think that the semifinals take place on uh Tuesday, and then I think we get back on Monday, right?
Yeah, we get back Monday.
So then, to be honest, we'll probably just wait until Tuesday night and record an episode right after that semifinal or something like that. I don't know. We'll figure it out, but we probably won't have an episode up to react to the quarterfinals. But we'll drop our reactions, on the page. You'll see those YouTube shorts, and you'll see it on the TikTok and stuff like that. And then we'll drop a reaction to the semifinals, and then we've been trying to work it out. It's in the works here, but we're gonna try to get a live walk along thing, like a watch party thing going for the final. So you have all that to look forward to, especially in the world of soccer. And then going forward, after the World Cup, there's still so
The
much
world
to
of
happen.
football.
So yeah, the world of football. I use the words interchangeably, but
No,
anyway,
yeah,
moving forward from one football to American football. Uh, Quite simply, there were some good games last week, but we last episode we dropped our takes on those games like the 49ers Dolphins and the Brock Purdy masterclass, and then also
The
Joe Burrow being able to own the Chiefs and keep on with that. But I think without further ado, unless you have anything else you wanted to mention, we can go ahead and get into our Week 14 picks.
Yeah, other than the game that we watched the other day, Brady versus the Saints.
How could I forget?
Very, yeah. I mean, we were on the phone there the entire time. I mean, it's just another one of those Buccaneers. This look like the normal Buccaneers. How they looked from this season. They looked horrible through all of 5 minutes. The last 5 minutes when they decided to look like the Buccaneers, and they pulled out another close win. But what, we'll probably not touch much on it. I mean, we're already getting fluctuate right into the next week, but let's go right into our next Week 14 picks.
Yeah, I mean, how about that Tom Brady performance?
I mean, yeah.
He continues to prove why he is, on resume
Don't
based.
don't show. Yeah, I want to say, don't you ever. You're not allowed to say. Look, behind closed doors, he always likes to tell me, yeah, oh, Brady's just the GOAT on resume. You don't get the right to say that he's the GOAT here, man. No. Look, ability wise, resume wise, human wise, Tom Brady is the greatest quarterback. I'm up there as the greatest athlete ever. This is what this guy does. This guy's life changing. He's just like Messi. This guy could make a blind man see again. Like this is how good he plays football. But that's for another thing. Let's go into our Week 14 picks, and you might be seeing it again. You'll be seeing a part 2.
Oh boy. So yeah, without further ado, Week 14 NFL Pick'em. Let's go. Raiders versus Rams. Give me the Raiders.
Give me the Raiders.
Vikings versus Lions. Give me the Vikings.
Give me the Lions.
Ravens versus Steelers. Give me the Steelers.
Get the Ravens.
Browns versus Bengals. Give me the Bengals.
Give me the Bengals.
Jets versus Bills. Give me the Bills.
Give me the Bills.
Texans versus Cowboys. Give me the Cowboys.
Cowboys.
Eagles versus Giants. I'll take the Eagles.
I'll take the Eagles.
Jags versus Titans. I'll take the Titans.
I'll take the Titans.
Chiefs versus Broncos. I got to take the Chiefs.
Taking the Chiefs.
Panthers versus Seahawks. I got the Seahawks.
I got the Seahawks.
Bucks versus 49ers. Give me the 49ers.
Give me the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Dolphins versus Chargers. Give me the Dolphins.
Give me the Dolphins. I'll take the Dolphins.
Pats versus Cardinals. I'll take the Pats here.
I'll take the Cardinals.
So, once again, another great week of picks. It's crazy to me that we've gotten pretty much almost to the nitty gritty of the season. We're almost over.
We're getting close.
It's getting very, very close. We only got 3-4 more weeks, so it's
4 more weeks. Yeah,
it's getting to the end here. These are games a lot of them are very important. Even though not every game is on paper a playoff matchup or anything like that, but for seeding and everything like that, these games are extremely important at this point. Every team is battling for that playoff positioning, and it's very important, especially you always want to have a home game and be able to have some kind of home field advantage. It's very important. So these games are important. I don't know which game you wanted to touch upon first here.
I think the first one that we almost, I don't think it was the first one we disagreed with, but it's probably the major one. The 49ers versus the Buccaneers. And I'll probably harp on this one first before passing it on to you. But, from what it looks like, we got an update on Jimmy G. They said Jimmy G could actually be pretty good by playoff time. That's, doesn't have to do necessarily with this game, but that is good news. I did like to hear that because I want to see the 49ers at their best. But the 49ers are going to be rocking with Brock Purdy again. And he played well. He played well when he came on the Dolphins, but you're playing against the GOAT. And if it comes down to Tom Brady or Brock Purdy, what do we talk about here? Yes, this 49ers defense is transformative. I mean, it's the best defense in football. But the best defense in football is about to run up against the greatest player in football history. Yeah, this offense has looked lifeless. Mike Evans looks like me out there. I mean, he doesn't. I don't get what's going on. Julio Jones can be washed and then be good, then washed, then good. He's like a seesaw. Chris Godwin looks like he's lost the step. They're relying on rookie tight ends to get them home, and their running back pairing, Fournette is kind of here and there, but if a team has Tom Brady, they're always in it. I think we're going to see. This is how the Bucks play. I think they're going to play very. Their offense is not going to really be clicking that much. I think it's going to be a fairly low-scoring game. Because they're going to need the Bucks defense is going to need to play up a little bit, just because the offense is not going to be clicking. For some reason, I don't know why it hasn't been clicking. I mean, not much has been changed from this offense from last year. I mean, last year they were one blown coverage away from another Super Bowl appearance. I don't know what's completely changing this. I don't know what Todd Bowles has really done to the playbook. Has he burned the playbook? Has he thrown it out? I don't know what he's done. But all I know is that all this defense has to do is make it at least a 2-score game in the fourth quarter, and Tom Brady will take you home. That's all you need to do. All you got to do. Get him to where it's somewhat close, and Tom Brady will take you home. He holds the record for most fourth quarter comebacks all time. This is what he does. This is what he's made a career off, and this is what he's made his name off of. So give me Tom Brady when it matters the most. This is a big game, and I know Tom has this one circled. So I expect another Tom Brady flash of reminding everybody just why he's Tom Brady.
I don't even know what to say. I really don't even know what to say at this point. Look, you can love Tom Brady as much as the next guy. You can think that he is the greatest thing since sliced bread, since butter. You can think that he can make the blind see, and you can make somebody in a wheelchair walk again. But I don't care what he can do. I don't care how many blind men he can make see. You're going to need to turn back the clock. You're going to need to do something that is just unfathomable to beat this 49ers defense right now. The Bucks against the Saints looked absolutely lifeless. I thought they were down and out. I was sitting on the phone here with you, and I was saying, wow, well, this is an absolutely disgraceful performance. This was terrible at home on Monday Night Football. How could it look any worse for Brady and the Bucks here? And then, all of a sudden, turned it up. They got a pass interference, Mike Evans, and then they were able to get a touchdown. And then, they walked down the field. They were able to get the second touchdown, with Rashad White, and they were able to get the win. But it's the Saints. They're not a good football team. Dennis Allen is not a good coach. They have Andy Dalton at quarterback, who, if you're going to compare, I mean, Andy Dalton, he has more NFL experience than Brock Purdy, sure, but Andy Dalton is not a good quarterback. So, I
think he's better than Brock Purdy, bro.
That's not the point that I'm trying to make here. They're similar. If you're going to say Andy Dalton is better, you can't say he's miles better.
Andy Dalton played probably the best game of his life versus the Bucs. Definitely his best performance of the season versus the Bucs. So I think, is Brock Purdy going to have that one performance against the Buccaneers? I don't think it's going to be better.
But the point I'll make here is I don't think Brock Purdy needs to have an amazing game. He doesn't need to light up the Bucs for the 49ers to be able to win this game. This defense, if you want to say Tom Brady can make the blind see, this defense changes lives. This is the best defense that I've ever seen, potentially. This is this is one of the best defenses that the NFL has seen in a long time. Obviously the Cowboys also have a great defense this season. We've seen the Legion of Boom. We've seen some great defenses recently, but this 49ers defense deserves its respect because, oh my, it is absolutely loaded. They can do it all. They're well coached. They can, so look, this Dolphins offense has been lighting up the league, and they did not have, two of their starting offensive linemen, which, would hurt any team. It always is a factor. But if they're able to hold this Dolphins offense to pretty much it took 2 big plays for them to score. But the Dolphins could not drive on this 49ers defense. They could not put together a 10-play drive against this defense. It's impossible. You can't run on them. So, and the Dolphins have one of the best passing attacks in the league this season, and they were only able to get 2, long passes, and then pretty much it was They couldn't dink and dunk. They couldn't execute well against this 49ers defense. And, you know, obviously you don't want to compare, given their careers, Tua to Tom Brady.
Yeah,
But
well, yeah, that's that.
but
I was going to say
Tua has
that's the main reason. I mean, Tua played abominable. He played fraudulent that game, but continue.
But Tua does have some of the best weapons in the league, better weapons than Tom Brady does. I don't think that Tom Brady has the guys that can take the top off of the defense, that can run by the safeties like Tyreek Hill. I'm not betting on Mike Evans to be able to do what Tyreek Hill did to that 49ers defense. I'm just
No,
not. And I don't know what Tom Brady can do with this offense to score enough on this 49ers defense. I think it's going to be a relatively low scoring game, but the Bucs defense is not that great. In the 49ers offense, even if Brock Purdy isn't playing amazingly, I don't think he has to play amazingly. He doesn't have to get 300 yards. He could win this game without even getting 200 yards. Christian McCaffrey and Deebo Samuel are so difficult to stop. Kyle Shanahan can get them involved in so many ways. Screen passes, pitches, you can just hand the ball off to him. There's so many different ways this 49ers offense can attack. And if I trust any coach to be able to make a quarterback comfortable and get them easy passes and scheme guys open, I trust Kyle Shanahan, because the Dolphins defense is pretty good. And Brock Purdy had like no NFL experience coming into this game. And they did easy throws, and they basically, checked it down, and they executed well with Brock Purdy. They had it's almost like they had a completely different playbook. It's almost like they prepared for it to a certain extent, because they switched up what they were trying to do. It became the CMC show against the Dolphins, and I expect it to continue like that. Christian McCaffrey, he's so dynamic, he's so difficult to stop. I don't see how the Bucs can stop the weapons of this 49ers offense enough times. Brock Purdy doesn't have to light you up. He doesn't have to be the next coming of Joe Montana. He just has to not make mistakes. He can't throw 3 picks or anything like that. If he keeps the turnovers low and just keep this defense in the game, that's all they need. Because the defense is going to do what they're going to do. They're not going to allow this Bucs team to get 30 points. They're not. To be honest, I don't expect the Bucs to get more than 20. Can the 49ers score 20 points against this Bucs defense? I think they can, given the weapons that they have. That's why I think the 49ers are going to win this game. I don't think the Bucs are a very good football team, all things considered. They have Tom Brady, who's a legend. We know what he's done in the past, but their defense is banged up. It's never quite healthy. It's they're never going to be healthy because Shaq Barrett, he's injured for the whole season. He's injured. He's gone. And Winfield has been in and out of the lineup. This defense is not the same that it's been in the past. And I think I trust Shanahan to get the job done, all things considered. He's going to scheme Brock Purdy, and he's going to find a way to get it done. I mean, I trust Deebo. I trust CMC, George Kittle. They have a lot of weapons. I don't see how you can think that Tom Brady's going to light this 49ers defense up enough times to get this job done,
I've seen this story too many times not to say it. It can't happen. There's not ever a chance where I'm not gonna bet. I'm not gonna bet against this guy. This is not someone I'm ever gonna bet against. And I think it's just written up that this is what Tom does. This is what he does. And definitely against a team like the 49ers, he wanted to be on this team. I mean, until the Shanahan said, no, we're not having you, Tom Brady, because we don't want anybody that thinks they're bigger than the team. And that's what realistically is. Brady has more rings than every franchise. I mean, it's hard to have that type of guy, but I think he's gonna play better than what he did against the Saints. It's hard to say, because Brady played poor that game. I mean, there's a lot of balls that he overthrew, and there's some he underthrew. Am I gonna think Tom Brady's going to do that again? No. I think he's going to tighten up a little bit, and I think we're going to see a better game from Tom Brady, and I think that's going to be just enough. I think the defense have been playing. Obviously, they're not the Cowboys defense, they're not the 49ers defense, but when you need them to make a stop, they can make a stop. So that's what I'm counting this defense to keep it close until, maybe they go into the fourth and they're down 1 score, down 2 scores. That's when you count on the GOAT to get you out, and that's what I think is going to happen.
I mean, stranger things have happened. I don't see it happening, to be quite honest. I think 49ers take this comfortably.
We will see. We will see.
Yeah. Well, yeah,
But
we will.
moving on to the next game is your Dolphins playing the Chargers, coming off of that abominable game against the 49ers to looking fraudulent. You know, what are your expectations going into this game, and can your MVP pick make a bounce back against this Chargers team that has had its moments? I mean, they've looked great, but they've also looked very bad. So what is your thoughts going into it?
I would say that I expect the Dolphins to be able to bounce back in this game. The Chargers, coming into the season on paper, they had a very good team, but quite frankly, right now, they are not that good of a football team. They have weaknesses. Their defense isn't as good as we expected it to be, mostly because of injuries. And obviously, they have Justin Herbert and they have a good attack. Keenan Allen is finally back and healthy. Mike Williams, I think he's going to be back. They always have a good attack, Austin Eckler, things like that. But this comes down to the quarterback battle. It's always going to be made out to be Tua versus Justin Herbert. They were picked one pick apart in the NFL draft. The fan bases hate each other just because of that. The Tua stands and the Herbert stands, like they always are going at it because who's better? Is Herbert a fraud? Is Tua a fraud? They always go at it, and so this is why this got moved to Sunday Night Football. This is a matchup that everyone wants to see because when these two go at it, it's them, it's them justifying why one was picked better than the other or why Herbert should have been picked over Tua. It's like I'm sure Herbert circles the Dolphins saying, hey, this is why the Dolphins should have picked me, you know? So I think it's going to come down to the quarterback battle. And quite frankly, I think Tua is going to have a bounce back game. I think all things considered that he had an off game against the 49ers. I think that Mike McDaniel wanted to win that game so bad. I think that he kind of pushed it onto the team. Hey, I want to be able to win this game against my opposition, my former employer. And I think the moment got a little bit too big for him. I think that he tried to do some things that he wasn't always doing. He tried to get a little cute at sometimes. And quite frankly, Tua was missing throws that he doesn't normally miss. How could I expect Tua to continue to do things that he hasn't done all season? If Tua plays like he did against the 49ers, against the Chargers, it's time to be concerned. Was it just a purple patch for Tua? Was it just he caught a struck? No, he caught a good run of form, but he's back to reality. If that's the case, I'll hold my hands up and say that I was wrong. But I don't expect it to be the case. Tua, he has been playing unbelievably this season, and I expect him to bounce back. And he should light up this Chargers defense because it's not that good. And when you have the best weapon in football, Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle hopefully will be healthy for the whole game because Jalen Waddle missed, I think, pretty much three quarters of that game. That's your second best receiver out. They still have good receivers. They still have good options. And Jalen Waddle being out isn't the reason they lost to the 49ers. But to have him back is obviously a huge help because of what he can contribute. Hill and Waddle are the best wide receiver combination in the league. As a 1-2 punch, there ain't one better in the whole NFL. So
Debatable, yeah.
having him back and healthy will help out the Dolphins. And they are going to be looking to bounce back. I don't think the defense is going to play quite as bad. I think that they're going to play better. And I think that the Chargers just have too many flaws to compete with a team that is as good as the Dolphins, I think. They're just not what I expected them to be, mostly because of injury. Their injury, and they're so banged up on the defensive end. Herbert is going to have to come out and just play an absolutely amazing game, which he can. He's very capable of doing. I expect this game to be a shootout, and I think that Tua is able to edge it out. I think it's going to be a relatively close game. If you remember the Sunday night game that they played, the Chiefs and the Chargers, it came down to the wire.
Came down like the last minute.
I think maybe it won't be quite come down to like the final drive or anything like that. Like it's not going to come down to a Tua game-winning drive, but I think it's going to be a close game like that. I would say it's going to be decided by a touchdown or less, and it's going to be, this is two perennial playoff teams going at it. The Chargers, they need this game to keep themselves in the playoff hunt because right now they're 6-6. They're coming off of a bad loss to the Raiders of all teams. You can't lose a game to the Raiders when you want to make the playoffs. You just can't have it. You just can't have that happen. And so the Chargers, they have to bounce back and win this game if they want to keep, in that playoff battle because the Jets seem to have that last playoff position in a chokehold right now. They're 7-5. Obviously, they have a tough game this week. But if the Chargers want to make the playoffs, they're going to have to win this game. And, they're going to need this game, but also the Dolphins need this game because they're trying to keep pace with Buffalo. They're trying to keep pace with the elite of the AFC because, if the Dolphins are able to beat the Buffalo Bills in 2 weeks or whenever they play, I think it's 2 weeks, then they win the division. So they need to keep pace. They need to continue to win games. The 49ers game was a setback, but that was the best defense in the NFL. The Chargers are not that. They're actually kind of the opposite. They're not the worst, but they're not a good defense. So I think Mike McDaniel is going to coach a better game. Tua is going to play a better game. I don't see a way the Chargers win this game.
Yeah, and I would have to agree. I think I don't think Tua's going to play as bad as he did. I mean, it's going to be hard for him to play worse than what he did. But
Yeah,
I
exactly.
mean, when you have a guy like Tyreek Hill, he's going to get the chance. Tyreek Hill is going to play against the not the best defense in the league. This is the best receiver in football. I think he's by far the best player on this team, and I think he was always somewhat of the MVP of this team. That's going to be basically the Chargers. Things they're going to be losing sleep about. How are we going to stop this guy? And if Waddle is healthy, I mean, same as well. I mean, these are the two fastest wide receivers in the league. They can get behind you in the blink of an eye. Like this is how dynamic they are. And this Dolphins is a great offense. The only thing they're lacking is defense, but the Chargers are no defensive masterminds either. So I think these are somewhat similar looking teams, similar, but I think what really gets where things get very different is their offense. That I think this offense runs a lot more, more up to par with the upper echelons of the league than the Chargers do. Even though the Chargers have weapons, they don't have Tyreek Hill, they don't have Waddle. So that's what really I think it's going to come down to. I expect a big game from Tyreek Hill. He's going for that 2K, and I think he's getting very close. So he's gonna break the record. I think he's gonna break the record for yards for a receiver, and not this game, but like obviously
But
in
by the end
general
of the season.
by the end of the season. But he's gonna have to have a couple more big games to get there. So I expect he's gonna have another one here. And I think Dolphins are going to win this probably by one score. I see them winning by one touchdown.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with what you're saying. I mean, all things considered, I agree exactly what you said, but also I would say the Dolphins also going to win the coaching battle.
Yeah, yeah.
It's an underrated aspect. Having a better coach is going to always benefit you. Better play calling, better scheme, but also Brandon Staley, the way he manages the team and especially manages the clock, manages timeouts, all things like that. He's been called a fraud. Chargers fans want him fired. Chargers fans think that, going forward he needs to be fired. And to be honest, I agree with that. And when they don't make the playoffs, because I don't expect them to at this very moment, obviously if they win this game, it would help them so much to get there. But I don't see that happening. So I think Brandon Staley will end up being fired at the end of the season. But one of the reasons why I give the Dolphins the edge is because Mike McDaniel, he's arguably up there. I don't know if he'll win it, but he's one of the candidates for Coach of the Year right now, just based on it's his debut campaign as a head coach, and he's transformed this Dolphins team, and he's made us into from a pretender to, and I don't know if we're gonna win the Super Bowl or as a contender, but we're a perennial. We're up there in the AFC. Just a week ago we were the number 2 seed in the AFC. Right behind Kansas City, and it's so close right now between all of these teams that we went from the number 2 seed competing for the number 1 seed, and now we're a wild card because the Buffalo Bills are right there, and I don't know how it's all going to finish. It's going to come down to who hits good form at the right time here. But the reason why I also give the Dolphins an edge against the Chargers is because they're going to win that coaching battle.
Yeah, I could agree with that as well. Yeah.
But, obviously that's Sunday Night Football, and it's going to be an amazing game. I can't wait to watch it. But I don't know if you want what other games you wanted to touch on, if any.
I think I think those were the two main marquee games. I think the other ones we somewhat agreed on. Most of this week we did agree on. I mean, other than like maybe Patriots, Cardinals. I mean, we disagreed on that one. I think.
You picked the Ravens without Lamar to get the win against the
Yeah,
Steelers. I thought
I think. Yeah,
that's pretty, hit or miss. Like I don't know how they're gonna play
yeah.
with Lamar. It's gonna
I
be
think
tough.
they're both very like
Kind of,
midish teams. You know.
kind of if
Yes.
they're able to have Lamar, obviously they're not mid, but without Lamar, they're kind of mid.
Yeah. So I mean, Steelers are coming off a win. I don't know if they're gonna win two in a row. I mean, that's kind of it's the Steelers. I don't know. They haven't won. I think they just won two in a row, and it's been literally like how long since they won. Yeah, I'm not gonna expect them to win three in a row. So I think just the odds.
Yeah,
They're probably gonna play a stinker, but I
you
think
never quite know.
those are most the definitely the must see primetime games. I think we covered there.
Yeah, and I mean it's gonna be interesting to see how they play out. And once again, a lot of these matchups are very important for playoff seeding and how this is all gonna shake out here in these last few weeks of the NFL season. It's sad in a way, but it's also a blessing in the way because the NFL playoffs is so good, but it's also, it signals, that it's coming to an end. So you never want to end the NFL season because who doesn't love watching the NFL? But, it's the circle of life, it has to happen. So,
Yeah,
but anything else that you wanted to touch on here before we go ahead and wrap this up?
I think that was it for me as far as football.
So, with all that being said, just wanted to thank y'all, for anyone who is still here at this point in the episode, for being here, because, we appreciate the continued support. But, obviously we've continued to run it up and, we're growing by the day. It seems like, every day we're getting a couple new subs, we're getting more followers on social media platforms. So we appreciate the continued support. Anyone who has made it this far and came from, I think we've been gaining a lot of followers on TikTok recently. So if you came from the TikTok and checked out the episodes, we appreciate that. We just appreciate all the support in general, the engagement we've been getting, especially on the Argentina versus Netherlands video. We had so many comments of people giving their opinions and what they thought. And a lot of people obviously were saying the Netherlands are going to win. If you look at the statistics of that video, like 11% of the people who watched it were from the Netherlands. So obviously, we might be wanted men in the Netherlands if we ever
I don't
go.
think we're allowed to go there no more.
We might be banned from the country, but it'll be interesting to see how it all shakes out here, but I'm very appreciative of everything we've been getting, and I'm sure you are as well.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, we just got started on Spotify and RSS. A lot of you guys, we've been seeing that do tend to watch us on Spotify, and we really do appreciate it. We're trying to get on Apple Music. We're trying to spread out as much as we can to get out to every type of person out there. I mean, not everybody uses TikTok. Maybe no one uses Instagram. Like I obviously for us it's weird because I still run into people that say they don't have an Instagram or they don't have a Snapchat. That's weird to me. I mean, but that's why we try our best to be on every platform so we can reach out to everybody. And we mostly do this for engagement. We want you guys' opinions because this is sports. We like to get everybody's opinions on that, even if they don't agree with us. I mean, the Netherlands people are not going to agree with us. I
Yeah, they
mean,
weren't happy.
They weren't happy, but that's what we discussed. That we want to hear why they didn't agree with us, and some had proper points, some just were just shitter comments. But this is what we like to do. This is why we do it.
I will say, a lot of people did give articulated points, and I like to read those. I like to get their thoughts on it. All things considered, I disagreed, because obviously I'm back in Argentina, but it doesn't change the fact that I like to see the engagement and I like to see what they have to say. Obviously, they're from the Netherlands. Obviously, they're back in their country. I respect that the same way that you would back Peru and you back the United States, and then I'm back in the United States, and it's just one of those things. Obviously, you're gonna have pride for your nation. So, I love it. I respect the comments, and there's a reason why that's one of the most viewed videos. Obviously,
Yeah.
we must have said some good things in that video. Had some good things,
So it's something.
the statistics, they are what they are. So, we appreciate the support. It's there's just nothing much more to say than that. Hitting 376 subscribers, we're getting very close to that 400 mark, and who knows where we're gonna go from there. So.
Yeah, absolutely, very excited, man.
But unless you've got any other final words you want to say, we can go ahead and wrap this one up officially here.
I think that one, yeah, wraps it up for me.
So with all that being said, this was episode 34. Before I do officially wrap it up here, we've been pumping them out thick and fast here. Like almost every 2-3 days we've been having an episode. It is going to take a little bit of a break here because we're going on vacation just 2 days. But as soon as we get back, I think we'll be right back on it, and we'll be able to drop an episode for y'all as soon as possible after that. So we appreciate the support, and this was episode 34 of the Shooter Straight podcast. And with all that being said, I'm your co-host Zach.
I'm your co-host G.
And we'll see y'all very soon for episode 35. Peace.